Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. This morning I'm coming to you from Elizabeth Street, and it's Anzac Day, where we have a beautiful march of veterans from various wars, and there's a group of people just coming up now, and I have a flashback to when I was a kid, when I used to watch the Anzac Day March on television, and I used to see people carrying banners, and this banner here says Libya, Greece, Crete and other countries. And as a young new Australian, whenever I see people marching with the word Greece and Crete on it, I was a little bit confused, not knowing what it was all about, thinking that the Australian soldiers were fighting against Greece and Crete. But when you get older, you realise that the diggers, the Australians, the Anzacs, both the first and second Anzacs, are allies of the Greeks, and Greeks are allies of the Australians, and we actually fought side by side. So the Anzacs had two memorable campaigns. The first one was in World War I, where the Anzacs fought at Gallipoli. But the Greeks played a massive and important role for all of the Anzacs, the Australians, the New Zealanders, the English, and all of the others who fought at Gallipoli, because all of the supplies, all of the Anzacs, all of the ships coming to and from Gallipoli had to leave and return to a port on a Greek island of Lemnos. So Lemnos was the island in World War I where the Anzacs left from on their fateful trip to Gallipoli. Some returned alive to Lemnos, others returned injured, and others returned and were deceased. But in Lemnos, the greatest armada that the world has ever seen had amassed, and all of the supplies, all of the armaments, the shells, the bullets, the guns, the people, the mules, the horses, the food that had to go to the battlefront there in Gallipoli, all came from the ports and the bay of Lemnos. So what are we saying here? What we're saying here is that the hospitals, all of the support staff were stationed in Greece. Here's another sign which once again talks about Greece and Crete, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as I get through this footage. So Lemnos provided the base from which, as I said before, the young soldiers would travel from on the ships to Gallipoli, which was only about 100 miles away. So Lemnos to Gallipoli is very, very close. And a lot of those soldiers would return to Gallipoli to be treated by the nursing staff, by the beautiful nursing staff, having come back from hell in their battle, in their campaign in Gallipoli. The thing of interest, though, is that the Anzacs featured in two campaigns. One campaign was, as I mentioned, in World War I in Gallipoli, and the second campaign was in the Battle of Greece and the Battle of Crete, where the Anzacs fought side by side by the Greeks to withstand for as long as possible the onslaught of the German forces in World War II, and were able to inflict the greatest defeat on the Nazi forces, where they threatened with thousands of paratroopers. The German forces dropped thousands of paratroopers on the island of Crete, and the English, the Anzacs, Australians, New Zealanders, and the Cretan men, women, the old, the young, all fought together hand in hand to inflict the greatest defeat of a paratroop campaign in the history of war, so much so that the Germans, that Hitler decided from that point on never ever to try dropping paratroopers onto land to try and overwhelm the people. So the Anzacs fought in Greece, they fought in Crete, they fought in Gallipoli, and they fought side by side by the Greeks, because in World War II the Greeks inflicted the first defeat on the Axis forces, where Mussolini declared war on Greece and sent his forces through Albania and expected the Greeks to fold and to just let the Italians pass through on their way to Russia to assist the pincer movement with the Germans. But the Greek Prime Minister, to his credit, issued those memorable words, ohi, which meant no. So the Greeks amassed, regardless of how organised or disorganised they were, and inflicted the first defeat on the Axis forces during a time where Hitler was wiping out country after country, one after the other, and looked invincible. But the Greeks were able to show the world that through a combined, through a spirited defence, everything is possible. And following that effort, the whole course of the Second World War was changed, and Hitler had to redirect some of his forces to come through the southern part of Europe to take Greece and then to move on to Russia. But this delay was what brought his downfall, because winter came, the snow, the ice, the harsh conditions, and the delayed supply lines caused grief to him and his forces, and was the beginning of the end. So once again, thank you very much for being with me on this day, and it's taken me a number of years to piece together the story, to understand how it all fits together, and to understand why Greece and Crete appear on the middle of these banners. And it's also important to understand that many Anzacs have been buried in Limnos, have been buried in Crete, and they will always be part of Greece. And the Greeks, to their credit, the Cretans sheltered, looked after, hid many of the soldiers who were trying to escape, and facilitated their goodwill and their survival to live and talk another day. Anyway, wishing you all the best. It is a quite overwhelming sort of atmosphere here at Hyde Park on Elizabeth Street. I think as I'm getting older, I am getting a little bit more sentimental when it comes to the efforts of the Anzacs and all of those who have fought in battles to help us and our children and our grandchildren to enjoy the freedoms that we enjoy today. And I also take a moment on days like today to think about my grandfather, Petros Kalpaksis, who fought in that first battle against the Albanians in Greece and was one of the many heroes, many of the individual heroes, the unsung heroes, the heroes who don't carry medals, whose stories is hidden. Nobody talks about it. He didn't want to talk about it because a big lesson that we all learn on days like today is that we're not glorifying war, but we're honouring those who made the ultimate sacrifice, because many of those who have fought at war have either died, been injured, or been scarred for the rest of their lives so that we can have a better life. Yet another banner featuring Greece and Crete. So now you know why Greece and Crete appear on those banners. Because the people that these people are representing fought in those battles side by side. Greece and others to bring harmony, to bring freedom to the rest of us. King's School Band. Anyway, I'll leave it there. So thank you very much for joining me on this special episode of Jim's 5am Club, where I've been overwhelmed with emotion. I came to the dawn service this morning, which was absolutely fantastic, and I doubt that there are many countries that honour their heroes like Australians honour their heroes. May their legacy never be forgotten, lest we forget. Take care. Bye for now.